Welcome to the Double Duty Agent Podcast. I'm your host, Carla Higgins, and you've tuned into the Coach's Corner. This is a segment where we tackle real-world challenges submitted by our listeners, and sometimes I'll even call a strategic play you can put into action right away. Each week we dive into the questions, roadblocks, and opportunities you're facing as a double duty agent. Whether it's mastering your time use management, finding that next client, or staying motivated after a long day of work at your 9-to-5, Coach's Corner is here to provide you with practical solutions and actionable steps to keep your business moving forward. So grab your notepad because we're about to break down a new challenge or hand you a winning play you can implement today to start seeing results. So let's jump right in. Hi, welcome back to another episode of Coach's Corner on the Double Duty Agent Podcast. I'm your host, Coach Carla, and today we are going to dive into something that I know many agents struggle with, whether they're just starting out or even if they have been in the game for a while. And what we're going to be talking about today is call reluctance, specifically when it comes to calling your sphere of influence, those people who already know you, like you, and trust you. Maybe you felt that resistance, the fear creeping up when you pick up the phone, or the hesitation in reaching out to people you already know. That's exactly what we're going to be uncovering today. At the heart of call reluctance is the fear of rejection. It's one of the most common reasons why agents avoid calling their sphere of influence. That little voice inside your head that starts telling you all kinds of stories. What if they don't want to hear from me? What if they think I'm pushy? What if I sound salesy? What if they say no? The fear of hearing a no can feel so personal, and that's what holds so many of us back. But let's pause here for a moment and let's talk about what rejection really is. When someone isn't ready to buy or sell a home, that is not personal rejection. They are not personally rejecting you. They're simply not in that space right now. It doesn't mean they don't like you and that you're bad at what you do, but the ego loves to create stories. It's our ego that makes that rejection feel personal, as if them saying no to selling a home or buying a home, that is somehow a no to us as a person. And the truth is, that's simply not the case. And I think when we think about it, we all know that. Let's talk a little bit more about these stories that the ego creates. It's like your mind is doing everything it can to protect you from feeling any discomfort. The ego says things like, if I don't make a call, I can't be rejected. Or if I wait until the perfect moment, they'll be ready and I won't have to risk hearing them say no now. These are avoidance tactics. They're pure and simply avoidance. The ego tries to keep you in your comfort zone by creating these fear based thoughts. But here's the reality: you're not calling to convince someone to sell their home right now, today. You're calling to build a relationship. A no today doesn't mean a no forever, it just means not right now. When we realize that, it takes the pressure off the call and allows us to focus on what we're really doing, which is nurturing connections and providing value. So, how about if we just redefine rejection? Rejection is not someone saying, I'm not interested in buying or selling a house right now. Rejection would be if they said, I never want to hear from you again, or please don't ever call me. And let's be honest, how often does that really happen? Truthfully, it's very rarely. What we're talking about most of the time is just a not right now. It's a temporary status, not a final verdict on you or your abilities. Remember, your sphere is made up of people who know you, who like you, and trust you. They aren't out to judge you. They're just not always ready to take action on real estate right now, and that's okay. Your job is to stay top of mind. So when they are ready, you're the person they think of first. Now let's get practical. How can you overcome this fear and the reluctance? One powerful strategy is to shift your mindset from making a sale, from finding someone to sell a home or buy a home. Shift that mindset to making a connection. Focus on a different outcome. When you approach each call as an opportunity to build or strengthen a relationship, the fear of rejection will diminish. You're not calling to ask for business, you're calling to check in, to offer value, and just be of service to see how you can help. Here's a great framework to follow when you're making your calls. Start out with curiosity. Ask about them, their life, what's important to them right now. If you've been in Ignite, you know that there's an acronym called FORD. FORD is just really a framework for starting with this curiosity. You ask about their family, their occupation, their recreation, or their dreams. Now, you don't have to do all four. That would be a little awkward, right? If you just fired off, how's your family? How's work? What's recreation? What are your dreams? Like that would be weird. You just flow these in the conversation. And here's a beautiful thing that happens when you ask somebody how things are going for them at work, what will they most likely ask you back? They will most likely ask you, well, how are things going for you at work? And this is the opportunity for you to bring real estate into the conversation. And then we want to be of service, find ways to provide value, whether it's sharing market updates, telling them, talking about the interest rate, offering insights on local trends, or just simply listening to their concerns. You also should be building a book of vendors, painters, electricians, plumbers, because you're going to need those for your clients. You could offer that same list to your sphere of influence. So if they needed a handyman that had been well vetted, you would be able to provide them one. So be of service. And then, lastly, before you hang up, this is the only time you really need to bring in real estate. And we talked about it a couple of Fridays ago at Coach's Corner. All you have to do is ask the magic question: who do you know that might need help with real estate? This takes off the pressure of asking them directly. And you'll remember it activates their RAS, their reticular activating system, which will start scanning their memory for people that might need your service. It will also trigger their filter. So their filter will start be looking for somebody to help. You have to detach from the outcome. Your goal is not to land a deal right now. Stop focusing on landing the deal. Your goal is to build a pipeline and strengthen your relationships. This is a relationship business. Trust that when the timing is right, then they'll remember you. These questions will help you identify whether the resistance is just fear and help you work through it logically. Here's the first question: what story am I telling myself about this call? If you think back to our episode one of the mini series talking about limiting beliefs, you're going to identify this because call reluctance is really just a limiting belief. So we're starting the same place. What story am I telling myself about this call? And then ask yourself, what's the worst thing that could happen if they say no? What's the worst thing that could happen on this call? The next thing, is it possible I'm taking this too personally? Is it possible that I am creating a story that it is personal instead of it just being that they don't want to buy or sell a home right now? Have I ever had a positive experience when calling my sphere? Have you ever called somebody and it went really well? I remember when I was a brand new agent, I had call reluctance. If you've listened to my episode, you know I was struggling with a limiting belief about being too old and about anybody taking me seriously. You know, that old dog can't learn new tricks thing. And then I would start calling people, and they were so like, oh, this is a perfect fit for you. I could think you would be amazing at this. And I kept getting all of this positive feedback. And then I had to feed that positive feedback to my ego so that my ego would let go of the resistance and the fear. And then, what am I really afraid of? And is it based in reality? We have to focus on these things and remember that most of the time, fear is just around something that we've created. We're making a prediction about what we think might happen, and our fear is about that prediction. It's not about reality. It's just about a story that we made up. So, these are the questions that you can ask yourself. What story am I telling myself about this call? What's the worst that could happen if they say no? Is it possible that I'm taking this too personally? Have I ever had a positive experience when making these calls? And what am I really afraid of? And is it based in reality? By asking yourself these questions, you can start to see how much of the fear is just a creation of the mind, not based in fact. And once you realize that, the fear begins to lose its power. So, if you've been feeling that reluctance, if the fear of rejection has been holding you back, I challenge you to take action. Start by making just one call today, one, and approach it with the curiosity and service in mind. Remember, it's not about the outcome. It's about building relationships. The more you practice this, the more confident you'll become and the easier it will get. All right. Thank you for tuning into this episode of Coach's Corner. I hope it gave you some insight into overcoming call reluctance and shifting your mindset around rejection. If you found this episode helpful, please share it with another agent who might be struggling with the same thing. Please go to doubledutypodcast.com and submit your challenge so that I can feature it on a future episode of Coach's Corner. Until next time, keep taking action, keep building your double duty business. Thank you for joining me today. I hope you're leaving inspired and you found a key or two you're going to try out this week to see how they help you to unlock your success. Be sure to subscribe so you don't miss a single story. And if you'd like to get in touch with me, you can find me at doubledutypodcast.com. That link is also in the show notes. Until next time, have a productive week.